We are now live.
Are we live? Is this live? No, I'm joking. Hey guys, we're back for the final episode of this shit show called The Challenge USA. Woo! Everybody give it up, give it up, give it up, clap it up.
Woo woo.
This was a fucking horrible finale, okay? Terrible, terrible, terrible. Zeros across the board. I don't even know where to start, but let's just say a lot of people did not finish. And the people who did not finish, it's just very surprising how everything turned out. But we're going to get to everything because this was a 2 hour, or I should say maybe about, I don't know, 70 minutes worth of nonsense. I really don't know what the hell I watched.
I don't know either, and I'm very annoyed. So, we first start off. It's back in the house. We now know before we go into the final, it's the last elimination, and it is the girls' elimination to weed out who's gonna be the last girl who's going to the final. And we have it that the fact that the girls are not safe at all right now. Um, and Dom said he wanted the right girls in the game to be good partners in the final because everybody had in their minds that this final would be pairs in some form or fashion, and they're ready for whatever came at them. And Enzo told Kayla that Angela had been playing a scared game a little bit for the most part of this whole season. Um, and even though like she's been playing scared, she's been dominating, but it's just like, um, it's your time, basically.
I mean, Enzo was just, well, after the fact, he was happy of everything that happened with Angela. But I think him coming back in the house after that elimination and knowing that he's at least made it to the final because it's only going to be a women's elimination, he's just excited. But I just think that seeing how she was able to run the house in some ways and run people's mentality, it was just like, bro, what is really going on in this house? Like, it just didn't make any sense.
It didn't. Like she was really great throughout the season. Like I don't blame her for like winning, and like when winning, it brings power. Like I get that. But you gotta have other things that will help you be a good challenger in this game. Alyssa did say that she was proud of herself in the game, and she was glad to be in the position that she was. So hopefully get to the final part. But she just needed to set herself well up this week before the final. Angela says she wasn't scared to go against any of the girls with her track record of winning in all the majority of challenges. But I'm like, you should still be scared because you never know what happens in the final.
Or we do know what happens.
Yeah. And then Danny said he wanted to make sure his experience on the show was very worth it. And we got a chance to see him talk to our favorite star of the show, to be honest, and Kiki and their daughter on FaceTime. It was very cute. We had to get finally finally get to see Kiki on the show. So we finally got to see her cheer on her man.
Well, we saw Kiki last week, but it's the fact that he had a whole child, and we didn't hear nothing about this child until the last episode. Like I mean, I get it. His wife is a fan of the show. She loves it. She's supportive. Blah blah blah. But it's like, damn, you have a whole baby too, and you wasn't even bigging up your baby. Like we have to see the baby for you to be like, oh yeah, and I got a daughter. Like what? Why you ain't shout at your daughter the whole time too? Like I'm not understanding.
Yo, he was hiding his child from the world.
Yeah, you hiding the child from the world. Like damn, I get your wife is your wife, but you got a baby too. You better tell us you got a baby and a
Mm-hmm.
fresh one too. Ain't no old baby.
Mm-mm. But it was a little cute little moment. And then we get to our first actual night challenge of the season. Like, we're like, oh, everybody's oh. Brigade Night Challenge? We've never had this done. So we're like, what the fuck is going on? And they put them in the back of a truck in the dark, and everybody was freaking the fuck out. And while everybody was panicking, Tyson said, like, this actually kind of soothes me. I like this.
Tyson's Tyson be talking shit. I'm gonna get to Tyson later because Tyson just be chatting.
Yeah. And they get to the spot where the challenge we had, and it's called Getting Tired. Another pun, like you're gonna get tired, but you're also gonna be worked with tires, where they have to swim about 500 meters across the lake before running into an abandoned military complex, where they have to retrieve different items around the complex and take them to a drop-off station that's over half a mile away. They have to get tokens that are worth 1 point while getting tires that are color coded. Blue ones are 3 points, yellow ones are 5, orange are 7, red are 10, and pink ones are 20 points. And the harder item is to obtain, that's going to be the most points the player receives. And they have to repeat this process for a course of 2 hours. And they have to do one tire at a time or item at a time. And the top man and woman who have the most points, they'll win this final challenge. And the last woman who doesn't finish or gets less points will go straight to the arena. And the girls that are not named Alyssa and Angela are fighting for one another, and I like to see that because the Fab Five disbanded, but the core three of Kayla, Sarah, and Justine are fighting for one another to keep them safe heading into the final.
CMB, they all they got. They gotta hold it down for each other. They all they got.
And right off the bat, like as people were getting up the rope, Kayla's foot got caught in like a little sinkhole, and as she was climbing up, everybody was passing her, but then Sarah, her face ended up in her ass, and Sarah just gave her a little push up, and Kayla was able to get over that little hump. that was a little funny moment. I'm like, good job, helping a sister out, but that was a little funny moment.
Yeah, I mean, cool, but like, don't put your head up somebody's ass. Like that's just like, come on now. What are we doing here?
I don't know. And then Tyson makes it to town first. He finds a pink tie that has a puzzle on it to help save him some energy. And then Ben was the next to get there, and he went to a red tire. Angela came, found the other pink tire, and started doing the sliding puzzle on it as well. And Justine was me. I don't do scary shit. I'm not a horror person. And being in this abandoned complex with a lot of messaging and just random mannequins, that was not for me. And I am her. I could never.
It's the
I
messaging,
could
the
never. I would
messaging
not.
part for me. The messages.
There was a lot
It
of random
literally
messages.
said it literally said TJ was here, some shit like that. Like it was the most random shit. Oh my god, even say bitch. I'm weak.
It just didn't help that it was dark and it was in the middle of nowhere. Like I cannot do that. I would quit on the last challenge. I'm sorry. If that was me, I would have quit there. Yeah, y'all can have my money.
Really? Like
Yeah,
that moment you would have quit?
yeah, yeah.
Girl, nah, it wasn't that deep.
Anyways, aside from me and not liking that, everybody else was getting their tires. Tyson and Angela was still working at the pink station or whatever, and Angela was stuck. But Tyson managed to finish his puzzle, and he was like, "Hey, just look at mine." Angela was still working on it, majority of this fucking time. And as like he was getting through his other ones, he found another one where Justine was, and he finished that quick. He was like, "Hey, look off mine. You can cheat off me. It's okay." And I'm like, huh? What is happening here? Like, we didn't last season on All Stars, we just got mad at somebody for cheating
Okay,
off another
so the
person.
difference is no, see, and I'm gonna tell you the difference because what Kayla did was try to do some sneaky shit, and she trying to like cheat, and she trying to like peek her head and like do some shit like that, and trying to act like she wasn't cheating when she was cheating, and then claim she wasn't cheating. However, if the person is willing to help you, it's really not. It's still cheating, but like it's not cheating in a sense where it's immoral because the person is telling you like, "Yo, I'm trying to help you out. Like I'm trying to hold you down. Like just look at what I did." And even if Justine still has to figure out the pieces for herself, like regardless, she at one point she was like, I don't even know what he did. Like I don't even know what he put. I'm trying to figure it out. But she eventually got it, yes, with the help of him. But he wanted to help her. Like he was trying to help everybody. He
Yeah.
was trying to put people on, which I can respect a part of that. Like he was just like, yo, Angela, look at this puzzle, do it like this, whatever, whatever. Yo, Justine, do this. Yo, Dom, how much do you got here? Da da da. Like he was still trying to help and trying to put people on, even though they're in the middle of a competition. That was the difference between that and what happened with Nia and Kayla. Like that bitch Kayla was just lying the whole time, trying to say she wasn't cheating when she was cheating. Like, come on now, girl.
I get, yeah. It was just funny to me. But just after that, we got through the first hour, and everybody was lapping with the tires. Like everybody else was smart, you know, even though like they weren't on like the highest tier of the points. They were still like racking up points with those other tires, and all while they're doing that, Angela is still on the pink tire, and Alyssa was looking stressed. Like, hey girl, I know you still on this tire, but I can't do. There's only so much I can do myself to try and keep one of us safe. And I'm trying my best, but you just still here.
I mean, I don't know why she spent an hour 30 on one tire and one puzzle. Like, if you really couldn't figure it out after, because they had 2 hours. So let's say you did dedicate an hour to finishing this one puzzle to get 20 points. All right, cool. Because at that point, people were just racking up points. They got five here, three here, five here, 10 here. Like, they was just trying to rack up this after an hour, like an hour and 30 minutes on one puzzle for 20 points is just really stupid to me at that point. Like she really should have just, that's the moment she really should have quit and just gave that shit up and went and just tried to do something else, because after the fact now she's trying to get tokens to add up. All of the tires are gone essentially from where she was trying to look because everyone was racking up. So it was just like that was really her fault, and she just had a mental lapse in that moment. I don't know what she was thinking. Like she really tried to give herself a push and be like, "Yo, I'm gonna get 20 points here." But honestly, this shit didn't even make any sense because at that point, people already had 25 points, and she was still waiting on the 120.
It was it was sad to see like you were just still here. And I'm just like, girl, this is the writing on the wall for you. Like you going to elimination. I'm sorry. Because everybody else is laughing at you. And she finally got it, like you said, but it didn't help. And then Ben, he had a whoopsie when he got his tires. He was hype. He was excited, and he fell and messed up his shoulder. But he made his way back to the station. He was all good.
Or was he?
It was the adrenaline talking at the time. He was like, "Yeah, I'm good," you know.
Yeah, you run your body through some cement and see how good you're gonna feel afterwards.
Yeah,
He's
no.
insane. He's insane.
And Tyson was pressed at one point that Ben and Dom, even though Ben was hurt at this point, him and Dom are right behind Tyson, and Tyson was pressed about that, and he was trying to get a little bit more tokens. That helped him out in the end because him and Dom ended up being tied for first place with 52 points, and Sarah um, was first place for the women and had 42 points. and they are our three winners, our first three winners of the season.
For the first time. So we finally get to see, or could have possibly seen, if they all had different decisions in who they wanted to throw into elimination. We could have probably seen the tiebreaker in the person getting to choose, or majority rules, or whatever the case may be. But it took the last elimination to see this.
Yeah. And now Sarah has five more K in her account, having brought her total to $15,000. Dom and Tyson split the 5K. Dom's total came to 10,000, while Tyson now had $18,500. And Angela is a loser of the nights with only 24 points, and she was hoping that Tyson did her a solid and help her out a little bit. But at this point, the hands are tied. The hands are tied.
Yeah, this is where all of the shit that she pretty much put herself into this whole season, with dominating the game and making it hard for people, and especially with that last elimination and throwing Enzo and David into elimination. Like, she just didn't make that many friends with the people that were really left, that were in power, a position of power now, in Sarah and Dominic. Dominic has always been there. Like, Dominic had the alliance, the quote unquote secret alliance with her, and he was, coaching Danny and what to do and who to put into elimination when Danny was having that issue. But I think for him, he's probably thinking like, I don't know, this girl is going to probably throw me under the bus whenever she can. So he was the one on the fence. It was only really Tyson that was riding for her.
Yeah, and I like that we had this little dynamic between the three of the winners because we knew Sarah had it out for both Angela and Alyssa was public enemy number one because since Angela's in there, might as well throw Alyssa in because it's karma to Sarah for what they did to her on that Connect Four challenge. Um,
For the past 2-3 weeks. Like, not even that, not even just that challenge alone. Just like for the past 3 or 4 weeks that was remaining. They made that lady's life more of a living hell than she's already living.
yeah, and she was like hoping that one of the guys would side with her on this. And then Angela asked Tyson what Sarah wanted. Obviously, with Alyssa, but Tyson posed Kayla as an option because she couldn't get up the rope. Um, and Angela was planning on not saying anything of what she wanted to do with Sarah when they had that meeting. And then the trio had their chat with Angela, and she said she didn't want Alyssa or Desi against her. Um, but this is where points were raised. Sarah said Alyssa did not fare well in the challenge. Then Tyson argued. Kayla could even get up the rope, and she had help. And Sarah's like, sure, uh-huh. And she
I
dusted that
mean,
off.
sure, I see your point. However, if you put Alyssa in the same position, like, I don't think that Alyssa's gonna be any stronger than Kayla. Like, it was literally just them trying to hold on to the alliance of Kayla, I mean, Alyssa, Angela, Tyson, and whoever else. But I
Yeah.
mean, at least they kept their word and didn't put Desi in, because Desi was at one point like on the outskirts of this alliance until maybe a week and a half.
Yeah. And Sarah asked Angela if she had anything more to say. Angela said my input is irrelevant, and she dipped out. And Tyson said that was awesome. I'm like, was it awesome? Was it really?
No, it really wasn't. Like, listen, the two of them, they need to get a room. Like, the two of them they just, I don't know. Just, oh.
Yeah. I just knew like he was so far up into his ass. I'm like, listen, y'all got y'all's thing going on, but at the end of the day, somebody got to go win. And Angela just like was playing like coy. I'm like, girl, just say who the frick you want, and that's it. Like, what are
Yeah.
we doing here?
Yeah.
And it was going to be a majority vote, like we kind of mentioned too, between the three of them, because somebody's going to be a tiebreaker eventually. Dom said that this decision would be tricky because even though like Alyssa was in the alliance, whatever, he didn't have a relationship with her. So both options are feasible. But then again, we also remember that Dom liked really well with Kayla when they were paired together too. So we'll see how that we saw how that ended up. Um, Alyssa tried to pitch to Dom as well about her attributes in the game, and I was like, sure, yeah, I hear you out, sis. But I don't know if you can. To me, I'm like, I don't think you can really fare in a final like this. So yeah,
Well, neither can they.
yeah. But she was really hoping that Dom and Tyson had her back. But at the end of the days, every man for themselves heading into the final.
Yeah.
And then Angela had her call with her boyfriend slash fiance, and Tyler, who was a former cast member on her season of Big Brother. They've been together for a while. It was a very cute moment. I'm moving on because I don't like that man. Um, and then Sarah pitches to Dom that Tyson had his hand really in like a lot of the game thus far, and it's their time to put their foot down with the decision. And she said, "Can you just take the back seat? Because it's not the Tyson show. It really isn't." And I'm like, I'm here for this because it really isn't. Like, I get Tyson has been like the front runner, and he's had inputs. However, at this point, sir, you have two people to go against in this decision, and you got to be outnumbered.
Yeah, I mean, Tyson and Angela have always felt a sense of entitlement in the house because they have been so dominant. And I could see why they could be like that because they were just so dominant over other people. But I do think that the other people like Sarah and Dominic and whoever else were able to kind of just put them in their place and say, hey, you're not running the show here. And technically, you did win Tyson and you do have a say, but there's more people here who are going to speak. So I just think that just told him to shut the hell up.
Yeah. And we go to the arena, and Tyson votes for Kayla. Sarah votes for Alyssa, and Dom breaks the vote, breaks the tie, and votes for Alyssa because, like I mentioned, Dom knew what Kayla could bring because they were partnered with each other, and I think that was the one they won together. And he said that she belonged in the final because she had the attributes to run the final. And so it's going to be Alyssa versus Angela in a challenge steeple, like TJ said, in a pole wrestle. And I'm glad that it's back. But it's very obvious or the difference in um, builds for this elimination. And I knew Alyssa would not fare well.
She knew she wouldn't fare well. She was just putting on a brave face, to so to say, to freaking get through that elimination because she already knew she was gonna get ate the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so we already know what a pole reversal is, but for those who don't know, it is the main objective is just to pry out the pole from the other person within 2 out of 3 times, and you win, you get money. This pot was the most pot for this whole season for elimination, so winner took all. And in the first round, Alyssa tried to have a grip on it, but she didn't have a good grip on the pole, and Angela was able to just nab it away. This is the quickest pole wrestle, to be honest, that I've ever seen.
quick and
So
easy.
yeah. So Angela got it in the first round, and then in the second round, there was not. It was a little bit of a fight from Alyssa on her part, but once Angela kind of got her on her back, it had me have a flashback to when Laterian did what he did to Ace on that
when
final.
you when he broke that man's back and we never seen him again in life. Like that man is still, it's the APB still out for that man because I have not seen him since. He literally picked him up, broke his back, pause, but he really picked him up and broke his back like continuously. And we never seen him again. We saw him walk away, and I have yet to hear from this man ever again.
Yeah, like literally that last bump on her, I'm like, ooh, that's a dead body. You know, I'm sorry, but I was just like, listen, this is what happens when you do a pole wrestle. Folks' backs get broke and you leaving it hurt, okay? Um, and Angela won the pole wrestle, and she was in tears, complete tears over the fact that she just sent Alyssa home. And I'm like, I get it. That's your friend. But this boohoo crying, girl, suck them tears up. That's it.
Nah, and I think everyone else was surprised that she was showing so much emotion because even Danny was like, "Oh, the ice princess is cracked or whatever," because she was crying so much. She felt so bad and she felt like Alyssa deserved it more than other people. And it's like deserve is nothing that we really could measure because we just don't know what people's intentions are. So, and I mean, I don't care for Alyssa and I don't care for Angela. So it's like, I can't really be like, oh, she deserved it more. This person is, I don't really know. But as somebody who was her friend, I can see why she was upset about it or whatever. But honestly, like you said earlier, Karma is a bitch because those two thought they were running shit for a little minute and they had their little double A tandem and they were running amok and then it came to an end because literally Angela could not finish her challenge in time on the last
Mm-hmm.
elimination. And I think that just so funny that it was on the last elimination that she went through this because the whole time she was running through this, I'm like, she was like, I'm the best, I'm this, da, 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 talking mad shit. And the last one, she almost didn't make it.
Yeah. So now heading into the final, Angela has $33,500 in her account, and TJ's like, "Y'all, it's time for the finals." Um, and Sarah said something that I agreed with. Before I even saw what entailed after, Sarah suspected that Angela could not handle the endurance aspect of the final, and she was right. Um, Ben, before like the final even started, he went to go see the medics to get his shoulder checked. But he was like, "Yo, it's good. I'm good. I'm gonna run this final." At this point, who were your favorites to take it? Before we know what we know now, who are your favorites?
I mean, Tyson. That was the only person that came to mind because the way he had moved the whole season, like he was just so dominant. I just figured he'll probably just run through this as well. And I think I really can't think back to watching it honestly, like because I've watched it and because I've seen what happened, it's just already warped my view on like how everything is played out. And thinking about it, not as a viewer, but also as someone who knows more behind the scenes stuff that's happened, it's harder for me to like have an objective opinion about it, to be honest, because it's just like this is just it, it just was utter bullshit at the end of the day.
Yeah, like before, like I knew everything. I'm like, well, I had a feeling Tyson would be like the front runner for this. Like he's killed everything. And I was like still rooting for Justine. I'm like, I want to see what she brings to the final because she was low key my underdog, even though she was winning some things. But compared to everybody else, especially like Sarah and Angela, like I felt like she had a good chance. Um, But you know,
I will say I was surprised by Dominic. Dominic in the last elimination, him winning, him being right neck and neck with Tyson, who's somebody who's like the barrier for him at that point because he was so dominant in the house. But I would say that Dominic surprised me going
mhm.
into it.
Okay, yeah, because I knew like Ben would kind of stack up with him, but I didn't know how Shorter would fare in this final. But Dom was a surprise. I will say that. And next day, they're ready for the final. TJ says that Ben is medically DQ'd because of the shoulder. Because Ben had a knot situation happening on there, and medics like, hey, he can't do this, so it's his time is up.
Which was
It's
it was just messed up because how do you allow him? I get the optics of it and of him being out there thinking he's going to start a final and then for his dreams to be crushed essentially. But it's like y'all knew this beforehand. Like y'all really got that man dressed, got him excited, got him prepared, and then was like, "Oh, hey, never mind. You can't do this."
like this is one of the things that pissed me off about production. Like I knew before like the season even aired that the production was being weird. And now knowing everything else, especially this prize money. So, TJ said they need to conquer the mountain for their share of 500K. If someone quit, the money went back into the pot. And it's just, it, that didn't sit right. Because even Tyson mentioned it. I'm like, that don't make no sense. Where else, what
We'll
other
get
money
to
did y'all
that
have?
because
Yeah.
but we'll get to it because I feel like that was a big part of the storyline after the fact and just how it warped people's experiences on the show.
Okay. And the algorithm is back to determine the pairs for each checkpoint. We got a sense of this. This is very similar to how the All Stars final was essentially. But we have an algorithm to actually like say these pairs. And one woman will run a checkpoint by themselves since Ben is not in the final. And at each checkpoint, whoever finishes first gets 5 points, gets second gets four, three get third, fourth get uh, three, third gets three, fourth gets two, fifth gets one, and so on and so on. The pairs for this checkpoint were Danny and Kayla, Dom and Angela, Tyson and Justine, Enzo and Desi, and then Sarah was by herself. And in this first checkpoint, I have a swimming thing, and they had to swim to the shoreline in freezing water. And then when they got to shore, they had to complete a puzzle. And the player with the most points at the end of this whole thing will win the grand prize. And once they said it was swimming, I was like, oh Lord, um, Dawson prayers Desi. Because I knew, because Enzo cannot swim. It was down. It was down bad. It was bad.
So this is where I was just like, all right, like now we starting to get to the final. We're here. It's starting. Okay, cool. We get the algorithm back. Tells the partners, all right, bet. Now it's already skewed because Ben has been medically DQ'd. So now the women have to run parts of the finals dolo. All right, cool, copy. Then we get to this shit with the swimming. And when TJ was reading it off and he said it, and he, like, Enzo's face already knew, like, he couldn't really complete it because Enzo can't swim. He has a fear of swimming, a fear of jumping face first into water, whatever his fear is. He don't like the fucking water. All right, whatever. Then we get into them getting started. Everyone's going well. All right, whatever. People get to the other side. They start a puzzle. We get to fucking Enzo doing some doggy paddles in the middle of the lake, ocean, wherever the fuck they was at. Lake, ocean, shore. I don't even know. A body of water. He's doing his
Mm-hmm.
little doggy paddles, trying to paddle, 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 paddle. And when he starts panicking, and he literally was just like, I can't do this. And Desi starts freaking out. I was just like, bro, this is how we gonna start the final. I I just got so mad for Desi. And even though if it was an individual competition, which I thought it was going to be, like they started off as pairs, but like it made seem like it was going to be individual. So or it was like it was you're gonna be paired, and then eventually you're gonna be individuals. And I just feel like if that was the case, they should have been paired in the regular challenges as they were with the algorithm, and then when they get to the final, just run it dolo. But I guess they're trying to speed it up. All right, whatever. But once Enzo was in the water, panicking, and Desi is trying to help him, he literally screaming at the lady like, "Get away from me! Like, don't help me! I quit." I was like, all right. I just felt like it was just so fucked up. That was just messed up, and he even said like there's not enough sorries for him to even apologize to Desi, which there's not, because you really like she really fought her way to get to that moment, and it was taken away from her because this 45-year-old man can't swim.
Listen, and I like Enzo, but that was a piss poor performance, and it just started. And I'm so mad that like literally Desi was robbed of an experience in the final because of Enzo, and it just annoying me that he did that. And she was rightly pissed off. Like she was boo crying as she should because this grown ass man could not swim in the water and show up and do anything. Like she was trying to like Enzo, I'm trying to help you. He's like, no, I quit. And we don't like, and you know, Tina don't like quitters. But at this point, you know, later on, at this point, I'm just like, sir, your big self, one elimination is like, yo, I'm ready for the final. I can do this. You get in the water and you're just like, I'm done. I can't do this. That's trash. And Desi was robbed. And I feel so bad for her. Um, but all while that was happening, and after they quit, Tyson and Justine, they did make it to shore first, with Angela Dom right behind them. And Angela was not happy to see another slide puzzle in which she was like, hey, I can't do this. But Dom, you take the lead because we saw how what happened in that last challenge. And yeah. But Danny and Caleb actually finished the puzzle first. And Danny, once they got that first checkpoint under their belt, he was like, Kiki know the model. What are that trying? You know? And then Sarah, who was by herself, finished next. And then Tyson and Justine finished third, while Angela and Dom timed out.
So that's also interesting because the timeouts that started to happen throughout this whole episode and this whole final, I just have so many questions. I have questions.
Please share.
I mean, I can't really get to all of them because, like, I don't want to ruin it, but like,
Mm, okay.
people, the timeout just also didn't add up to me.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. We'll circle back to that later. Um, So now we get to checkpoint two pairs, which are Danny and Angela, Sarah and Tyson, and Dom and Justine. And then Kayla is now by herself. And in this new checkpoint, there are two stages of this one where the first part is eating and the next part is another puzzle. Um, I thought it was gonna be some random shit that they usually have them eat, but they had them eat an onion with garlic and lemon together, and Angela's like, "Oh, I'm a vegan. I'm a chef. I could slice this up and eat it like that." And everybody else was just going at it. And then we got a mini regurgitating montage because folk could not keep that down.
So this is also where it starts to get weird because did they run out of materials to get for them? Like they literally took an onion, a raw onion, put it on a table and was like, "Yo, just eat this," and put a little lemon juice on the side and was just like, "Here, this is it." We've seen people on the challenge eat eyeballs. We've seen them eat testicles. We've seen them eat intestines. We've seen them eat tongue. We've seen them eat all types of shit. And they literally just put an onion in front of these people. Was like, here, have at it. Just eat an onion. Like I I don't get it. I don't know if they ran out of materials or what the situation was there, but I just thought that was ridiculous. And then on the fact that these people were struggling, I don't know if it was just too much seasoning in some of the onion for some of these people because no shade, an onion is an onion. Like a raw onion is gonna be like OD. Like, obviously it has a lot of things in an onion that makes your palate, a little harsh.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's an onion. Like y'all not eating onions in y'all food that even though it's not cooked, like you eat an onion on a sandwich, you eat an onion on a burger. Like it's mad places you eat raw onion. So, or unless, I mean, I do. So it's like I'm trying to figure out why it was such a hard time for them to eat an onion. Like they were just struggling, and I'm just lost. I'm lost. Like Kayla at one point, her face had me weak because I'm just like she said she wanted to eat maggot cheese over a raw onion. Make that make sense.
Well, in her defense, she had mac and cheese on the Raising Rays, and that was bad, but she could take that over the onion. I understand her with that.
Yo, no, no, ain't no way you telling me you would prefer out of the lesser of two evils, you would prefer maggot cheese over an onion, like something not adding up. An onion, yo, an onion. Let-
You know, I don't listen. I've had
Come on,
onion
man.
by itself. It's not that bad. I don't know what they
For
was on.
500K, I'm bodying an onion. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, these people were really like, and I get it. An onion has so many different flavors in it to, makes you cry. It burns. I get all of that, and I get the conditions that they were in. But it's an onion.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Um,
think you would just body an onion real quick?
I would. No, I would. No, I would. I would do that for a 500K. I would. But Danny and Angela, I would. They did it. They finished it and headed to the next part, which was the equation. That they had to like find on different barrels in the field. Sarah and Tyson were after them, and then Dom and Justine. And as Dom and Justine are walking, Dom was burping and farting, and Justine was just right behind them. And I was like, oh Lord. that I was like, I could not be behind somebody that is burping and farting up a storm. I don't know why it was. Does onion make you do that? That's what kind of confused me though.
I mean, a raw onion. I don't know what it could do. I don't know that man's body system. So probably the onion and the lemon and all that other stuff that they were eating with it too. And then just the day of having a challenge and all of that. He said when he got off the plane he didn't get enough sleep. So he probably was not able to, have his little morning meetings in the bathroom as he should have. And that's
Yeah,
probably gonna add on top of eating that eating that shit that he ate.
yeah. At one point, Justine and Dom ended up ahead of Sarah and Tyson, but Sarah and Tyson made it past them. Um, Danny and Angela, they completed the equation first and got their first 5 point, the next 5 points. Sarah and Tyson were next with 4 points. Dom and Justine had three, and Kayla really pushed through. She, like, we saw her sitting for a while trying to get through that onion, but she managed to get through the maze of the barrels, and she made it to the next checkpoint.
Now she actually did what she needed to do. Like she didn't quit because it looked very bleak there for a moment. I thought she was gonna give up, but she actually made it through. So shout out to her for that part of the final in that leg.
Yes. And so now the standings are with Sarah having 8 points, leading the women. Leading the guys is Danny with five. Then Angela and Kayla both had 7 points. Tyson also had seven. Justine had 6 points, and Dom had five. And at this point, Dom kind of like noted that Danny, like, even though he didn't make as much noise during the regular season, he saved his energy for the final, and that was kind of smart too. I won't lie. That was kind of smart. Like he was kind of a sleeper throughout the regular part of the season, but he's been killing it at the checkpoints.
I mean, yeah, he did what he needed to do. I mean, I really don't care for Danny, like I said last week, so whatever. I'm not going. Yeah.
Yeah. And in checkpoint three, we've got the new pairs again with Dom and Kayla together, Tyson and Angela, Sarah and Danny, and then Justine was by herself. And in this next checkpoint, they need to memorize numbers and they had to carry the coder wheel to unlock a code at the end of it. And if they missed a number or any numbers, they had to go back down and remember it again. Um, Tyson and Angela made it first, and they completed the puzzle. And then Danny and Sarah finished it after them. And right behind them was Dom and Kayla, with the next 3 points, and Justine just ran out of time. She just timed out. Um, and that's how that was a lackluster checkpoint to me. But the points docked up to Sarah and Angela, both having 12 points. Kayla had 10. Justine had 8. Danny led the guys with 14 points. Tyson had 12. And Dom had 8.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if we can talk about the checkpoints now, but in terms of what happened in that segment in with Tyson and Angela, and Tyson having an issue with production with his checkpoint, and essentially them trying to tell him that his checkpoint was wrong and he would have to rerun the route to get the numbers again. And he said it about multiple times, like they probably checked it, quote unquote, 3 different times, and had Angela second guessing her numbers. And this is where the edit, I can see how his story would add up a little bit, because the way that it was edited, Angela was like, my numbers are so and so, and he was just trying to complete it, and production kept telling him no. And then at one point, you kind of see where Danny, and I think it was Sarah who he's matched it.
Yeah.
Um, Danny and Sarah came and they were trying to hurry up to finish against Tyson and Angela, but at one point their shit looked like it was done. Like their concentrate word was done, and Tyson and Angela were still trying to figure it out. So it's just the way that it was chopped up and made it to seem like Tyson and Angela were so dominant and Danny was right behind them or whatever, when literally production was, in terms, not doing their job and due diligence. I wouldn't say sabotaging, but because they have sabotaged people before, but they just weren't doing their due diligence and figuring out, like, why wouldn't y'all have that written down? Like, the number is the number. So why wouldn't y'all have the number written down of what it should equal so that you can get people to finish and move on?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I was gonna say, like mathing is hard. We've seen people not do great with math, but the math was the point for all of them. And it was like production. Is mathing hard for y'all? Cause y'all really fucked that up.
They
Because
the ones who made it.
yeah, and the guy was like, "Oh, like what?" And yeah, and Tyson asked him what the rules were. The guy, one of the production guys, and he's like, "Oh, it's in my head." What? But we'll
Yeah.
get to that more. Um, but mathing is hard, but sometimes it's right. Okay, and they were correct, and we're gonna move on to chapter point 4. We have to do pairs with Danny and Justine being partnered, Tyson and Kayla being partnered, then Dom and Sarah, and then Angela was by herself. And in this checkpoint, they had to really just move dirt to another area. And this was a landscaping challenge at night. And everybody was doing good, you know. Um, Angela did a little bit. Then she was like, it's cool, y'all. I'm gonna she essentially like opted out of this point. She was like, I'm just gonna go sleep, get some rest for tomorrow. I'll catch y'all later. And this is confusing to me because I didn't and I didn't I was like, what is happening? And she was like, "That's my strategy, you know." But I was like, this is not smart.
So I think this is where the timeout situations were happening, where in the previous checkpoint, Justine had timed out because I think she didn't have a decoder in her hand, according to the person behind the scenes. She didn't have the decoder in her hand when she had came with all of the numbers, so she had to run back and go get it and continue to memorize the numbers by herself, all 10 numbers, plus adding them up and all that other stuff. And then we get to Angela, who decides that because she's running the leg by herself, she can't finish what supposedly is a two-man job. And she just decides to go to sleep, as if to say everyone else is not fucking tired and not worn out, etc. But for me, I think it was just either her, it's not a strategy. Like if you quit, it's really not a strategy. However, I can see why she thinks like, well, I probably did like a little bit. Like she probably moved it twice. Like I don't remember how many times she even moved the dirt for her to be like, all right, fuck this, I'm leaving. But I think what happened is probably her effort in it and her approach to it was just like, all right, well, because this happened, then I'm going to just sit this out. When it's like this production makes up the rules as they go. Like they don't really have a subsequent rule book to say, hey, you have to do it like this, you have to do it like that. So when she wakes up in the morning and realizes that her time is over, and she kept crying about, oh, my strategy. Girl, at the end of the day, you had 2/3 of what everyone else had. If she would even at least put an effort in to do it, maybe for about, she spent more time doing on a puzzle than she did doing moving dirt. When essentially she could have had that, if she would have put that hour 30 in, I'm positive they probably would have been like, all right, cool, you could probably continue on, like you'll time out. But I think because she didn't continue on. She literally just did it and then stopped. That's what messed her up.
Yeah, because I'm like, high school, I'm like this. Oh, I'm just a little bit here, a little there. It's like, okay, guys, I'm not gonna try to throw my back out for this. I'll just go to sleep. Like, you could have just did as much as you could and timed out. Like, strategy, it goes kind of sometimes goes out the window when it's not smart in the final. And even though like we had the timeout situation be weird in this case, ma'am, you had less than everybody else. You could have did more because you slept majority of the night. She did only a little bit and went to sleep the whole night. That does not make sense at all. Um, but while she was sleeping, everybody was doing their thing. Tyson was doing a lot. He was doing the brunt for a lot of for his partnership with Kayla. While she was sleeping, he was doing a lot. He was making a lot of ground. But Because Dom is a construction guy. This is his thing. Him and Sarah got first place. Tyson and Kayla came in second, and Danny and Justine came in third. And then when they woke up, it was raining. TJ woke them up at 7 a.m. in the rain. And then TJ asked Angela what happened. Her strategy was shit. Um, and so she essentially quit, and now she's DQ'd, and all of that money she had attained is going back in the pot. And that's how it ended for her. Like, you came this far, and you thought you could out strategize the challenge when you really just quit. Make it make sense.
I can't make it make sense, to be honest. Like, she literally just quit and thought that she was going to continue on. I really don't know how she really came to that conclusion of how she was going to continue on when she literally did nothing but sleep. Like, there are people in the production that were up longer than her because she was just not doing shit. So I don't understand that. But honestly, good riddance. It's surprising to see that's how she went out and not still being in the field or whatever. But she was her own demise at the end of the day. She can't blame it on anybody else. Nobody took her out the game. Nobody threw her off her footing. Like, it was all her. Like, that's all you, sweetie.
Yep, you did all that winning to just quit. Good job. Good job. Um, and TJ said at this point it is an individual race for the last leg where the points are doubled, and they'll be going through more checkpoints as well. Checkpoint one was a puzzle. Tyson and Dom made it there first. Tyson finished where everybody else even got there, and Justine was the last woman to arrive to that first puzzle, but she was the first woman to complete it, and she was on her way. And then Danny finished after Tyson, and they're the first guys in the lead, made into the struggle phase. And this is where everybody just kind of like was like, bye y'all. They really did. All of them pulled Magic Johnson in this moment. Like, I'm not doing this. Y'all can have this. Um, and well, Tyson was not excited for this other puzzle after like walking in this trail as it was snowing and sleet. Danny was excited because Danny knew Sudoku because he did a little bit of this in a booklet when he was on Survivor. So yeah.
Um, yeah, this is where shit got real weird, and three people quit at the same time. And so watching it first without knowing any backstory or whatever, seeing how Tyson had got there, and this is what I said about Tyson. Tyson just was so entitled. Like, even in his confessionals, he was talking shit like, "Oh, me and my friends, we do trails like this all the time in Utah, and this is just a walk in the park, and this is such a cakewalk, and da da da, talking mad shit." And then gets to a puzzle and is like, guys, what are you doing? I don't know what to do. Like, are you quitting? Like, I think I'm quitting too. Like, I'm just like, what happened to all that shit talking that you was doing earlier, sir? Like, you really just showing your ass. But nonetheless, I think because nobody knew how to do Sudoku, I don't even know how to say that shit. I don't know how to do that shit either. But at that point, I think because of the weather conditions, they were cold. People couldn't feel their feet. People couldn't feel their hands, their body. They're wet. They're tired. The grueling part of the challenge was starting to hit people left and right. And I think because they really didn't get clear instructions on how to do the Sudoku, even though if they didn't know how to do it. So Danny had an advantage because he had done it before. He had books, whatever, whatever. Kayla had experience doing it when she got up there because she had it on her phone or whatever. She played it before. So it was just the fact that they really didn't have clear instructions. Like, it was very vague in what to do. And I'm sure behind the scenes, production really wasn't trying to explain shit. So I think at that point, Tyson saw what Dominic and Justine were doing. Like, yo, look, I can't even do this. I can't figure this out. Y'all not helping me. Of course, they're not gonna help them, but y'all not giving me no kind of assistance in what y'all are looking for. Fuck it, I'm just gonna leave. And Tyson left, Justine left, Dominic left, all at the same time. And I literally was like, no way this is happening in a final. Like, y'all
Yeah.
fought all season to get to that point, and y'all all leaving. Y'all not gonna stay and figure it out together like that. That's what was like. What is really going on here?
Yeah, like I was just looking at my I get like how the conditions were like in that moment because it was so freaking cold and limbs were not well. But I was like, dang, like this is the first time like three people quit all at the same time. Usually in finals only had like at least one person quit, but that was it. Like this is just it's just also indicative on how well I keep saying it how production was shit throughout this final and throughout everything else, which we'll get to later on. But it's just like dang, like this started to feel very anticlimactic because now it's looking like y'all gonna give this to Danny because he went through this puzzle and he started on its
Well, he's
way.
the only one who knew what he was doing. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, he knew what he was doing. It was like, dang. So now the winner. I don't want to say it's tainted, but like, dang, like this felt very anticlimactic, and it just fell apart. Um, yeah, like, see,
I
but
mean,
then
what else is there to say? Like, after them niggas quit, Sarah was still in her little corner trying to figure out her puzzle. Kayla had finally made it up the mountain, and she knew Sudoku. She was like confident that she could at least finish some part of it or whatever. But then her hands started to get numb. She couldn't feel her hands. She quit. So now they going back to the B roll with Sarah in the corner shuddering, trying to figure out her life in the rain. She's just in the cold, just shivering
she
in
was
the
still in that
corner.
first
She
puzzle.
times out. Yeah, she times out of the first puzzle. She didn't even finish that fucking first puzzle. She timed out of the first puzzle. She gets up to go to the mountain and to get to the Sudoku. She gets there. I don't even know if she even finishes that because they never really showed it. They just showed her walking away from the Sudoku. And I think at that point, they made her feel like she was in dead last place, which she was technically. But because four other people left ahead of her, she didn't even realize that she was still in the running to get the money. And she leaves the Sudoku, I guess, because there was nobody in front of her, technically, to win the money. They just let her go. So Sarah had a cakewalk to me because
Yeah,
all she had to do was just walk. And when she got up to the mountain to meet Danny, who had already successfully got up the mountain and won, then we see Sarah up there and she's looking like, congratulations, Danny, da da da. Like making it seem like he was the only winner. And she's looking around. She was like, where's everybody? And TJ just says, like, hey girl, you were the only other person to finish it. Everyone else quit. And she's just in shock. And I am too, because really, I've never seen no shit like this in my life. Like, after watching the show for all these years, four people literally quit the final right at the last checkpoint of the final.
that's wild. Like I told you this in the DMs. Like this is in the gutter. CBS kind of tainted the show with how this ended, and I'm scared on how the global competition is going to be.
Well, I mean, we could start talking about it. So clearly, Danny and Sarah won. The end.
Yes,
Storybook over. That's how we get there. So let's just talk about a little bit of the exit interviews that people were having. Specifically, Tyson. He did a variety piece, and he tried. I guess he spoke more about it on his podcast, which I didn't listen to. But he basically was exposing production and behind the scenes of how his experience was, and he said he would not return to the challenge. So Tyson's done. Like, this is the first and last time we've seen him. And he also just explained how people were making up shit as they go. So, like we said earlier with the rule books and like just trying to get clarification on what he could and cannot do, or what was happening. He basically said people were just looking at him and being like, "Yo, I don't know. We just making the shit up as we go." And I don't understand, as somebody who's worked in production, it's like, how do you not have an answer for something that is supposed to be thought out, budgeted, logistics, everything's supposed to be done, and you're looking at people and telling talent like, I don't have an answer for you? That's literally insane to me, even trying to even wrap my mind around that, especially a show like this. Even if this is the CBS version, it's under the Viacom family, under Paramount Plus family. So they should have some semblance of knowing what the hell to do. And the fact that they didn't, let's start there, that just really just, I don't even know if I want to see a second season of this. Let's talk about how they edited the show throughout the whole season, because there were a lot of things that were shown in previews and things like that that we never got to see. And I think that they did a poor job of doing the storytelling, because there's so many other stories that were underlying that happened in the house, and yet no, they can't get to everything. However, and they try to make it into like a little cushiony package for 45 minutes or whatever, 40 minutes of content that they show. However, there were just so many other storylines that happened that we know now that is just like this. Honestly, like, the story was whack. Like, it was just, they started off strong, and it just ended just so poorly because they didn't really know how to tell the story correctly, or at least insert parts of stories that were more interesting to viewers. I don't get that. Third thing, apparently they were stealing from these people as well. Like, I don't know who's stealing from talent, because these people are talent at the end of the day. Like, stealing clothes, stealing money, stealing valuable items. What the fuck is going on at Paramount over there that y'all really can't? Y'all, I know they paying people. Listen, I know Paramount got money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's happening, but that's just unacceptable. People literally stealing shit, and y'all know this, and y'all just letting it continue on. Like, who is running this show? Like, I don't understand any of that. Lastly, let's talk about how they told these people that they were going to win $500,000. Now, the challenge has had this happen for the past couple of seasons, I want to say, where they've said the pot is 500K, and they end up splitting money between two people. The last person who really won an individual, I'm trying to remember, I don't know if that was CT, but I feel like he won with somebody else. I don't know. I don't know if I'm misremembering, but typically, if they have an individual challenge, which they presented this as individuals, they just said that their partners were going to be on the show, and there was so many people that they obviously had to have partners so they can just kind of disperse the cast. But they told the cast beforehand that the pot was 500K. They did this whole thing with the money in the bank all season. You need this amount of money to get to the final. Come to find out, all that money is already in the 500K. That's already included. So that's not even including the bonuses. So you're not winning 500K and the 18K that's already in your account. You just winning straight up the 500K. But wait, hold on, there's more, because you're not winning 500K. You're winning 250K or 240. And then, of course, they got to take their taxes out. So they really are shitting the bed with the amount of money that they're trying to cut corners with. Like, nobody told y'all to shoot 5 versions of the show and telling people to come on to try to help win 500K. Like, I don't. It's just really poor decision making going on. And I just don't like to talk shit about production, but like, I don't know what's going on over there. But that was just, reading that, it was just disheartening, because a lot of people are tainted by it, and they're not going to come back to the show.
Yeah, because I remember like even before the like before we knew like what happened at the final stuff. I know before the season started, Shannon had like a shit experience. She was the first person I knew that she was not gonna come back to any version of the show because of how they treated her, production treated her. And then now knowing everything else, I don't blame anybody else for not wanting to come back because this was shit. Everything you mentioned was facts, and this was a gutter. I'm gonna keep saying it. Like this was so bad, and I know how like on the MTV version we've been like raging on that production, but this just was worse than whatever they would do. And I don't know if it's the same people that they got or a different crew that is solely CBS fault. I don't know. But they missed the ball on this, and I don't like it. Like it really made the season very anticlimactic. It was just odd, and I don't like. I don't want to see another season because they're going to do the same thing. And in other seasons that have people, like, we've had like seasons where people have like challenge accounts. If I remember correctly, even with like they get to the final, that's an added amount to the actual prize money. Like y'all, the execution of this was just bad, and I'm just like, I can't. I don't want to see another one again. Like everybody else, I know MTV's doing their own thing, but listen, I don't want to see nobody else on the CBS version. I don't. We don't need another season. Cancel it. It's bad. So yeah. We're gonna get into some of the tweets real quick. Because a former cast member of the show even said, in James Wallington, this final was indicative to how the entire experience was for so many of us. I'll say that much. And we really just went through that, but I just want to say James had that same sentiment that Tyson had. Like so many people have had that sentiment. And it's like, no, not again.
Yeah, I don't. I was excited earlier this season, and I thought I wanted another season, but I don't.
Yeah. Um, Another tweet was, I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody said Anissa could have won this final.
All right, all right, all right. This. Here come the bullshit. Here come the bullshit. Here come the bullshit. Please, miss me. Go to the next one. I'm already tight that I have to see this girl in 2 fucking weeks. Please go to the next one. Go to the next one.
Let me get myself together. Congrats to the star of the season, Danny's wife, Kiki. Let me drink to that because I didn't drink to the
Congratulations,
mentions.
girl. Your man won. Your man. Your man.
The next tweet is, she wanted to get her revenge on a cookout just to lose. Ah, it's just so pleasing to me. And that is obviously about Alyssa. She got so far, you know. I probably were
Yeah,
getting
I
far,
mean,
but you just got outworked. And the last tweet is, cancel the global tournament. We do not need that woman on another season of any show ever. And this is in reference to Miss Sarah.
yeah. I would assume so. Um, yeah, police, I need you to stay home and just do your job in your city, in your town. Protect and serve there. Please don't come back, girl. We don't need to see another turkey leg situation. But this season was just, it had so much potential. And honestly, it served so well early on. Like it just did so well. I'm like, this is gonna be great. And I don't know if it was just the fact that certain people got booted early, like Tiffany, like Kylan. Well, Kylan didn't get booed early, but certain people leaving
Mm-hmm.
kind of just killed the story for me. You know what I mean? and rooting for people. And then, like I said, the storytelling wasn't great, so it didn't add to it. It just made it worse for me in my experience of watching it. So I would say honestly, the I'm not excited to watch the global part of this now because I don't know what's going to happen with those versions of the show. I don't know what these other people are bringing. I don't know who's running the production there. So it's just so many questions going on into this that I'm just like, oh, I don't even know what we're going to do when we see this. And honestly, because it's going to be filming or it's going to be airing in other countries, I don't even know how the hell to watch it. I'm sure there'll be
Yeah.
some things online, but it'll just be I'll probably just read the recaps to be honest. Just because it's like if it's gonna be any version of what they're trying to bring here and what they did in the storytelling, I don't want it, they can keep it. With all that being said,
Yes.
we have another
Um.
freaking season
Yeah.
of the show. Okay, not on CBS, but on MTV. Season 38, we have been teasing it as well as they have been teasing it that it was filming, that this was happening, that was happening. It's going to be airing October 12th on MTV on Wednesdays as usual. So we have a trailer, we have a cast. Megan has new parents. I have no clue, girl. But we will discuss and break down all of those people and all of that information in our preview episode that will drop before the new episode drops on October 12th.
Yes. I will also say real quick that the UK version of the challenge, whatever, that started casting. Well, that's going to start filming soon. It's another season, another version that's starting to film soon too. So, we'll probably get those results sometime next year. Argentina already started filming, so those are in the works. So we'll see how that goes. But um, I will say off the bat about the MTV one, I'm excited for a couple of people. But we'll get to that. But I'm just glad that the real is back and we'll have more fun.
The
Um,
what? Yo, Megan, please don't make me log off this computer real fucking quick. Like, yo, I'm ready to shut my computer off. Honestly, I know you ain't just say the real is back for these fucking people on this show. Megan, have some decorum, have some couth. Okay, please,
all right.
please.
I'm just glad
For
to talk
Johnny
mess
fucking
again about
bananas,
the.
you gonna say the real is back. Girl, I know you fucking lying on a Friday night. Please cut it out. Cut it
Not
out. Cut it
about him.
out.
No, it's not for him though. It's not for him. I don't care about that man. Like his show flops and he's back, and that's all I'm gonna say. So that's that. I'm not excited to see him back,
The real
but
is
it is
back.
what it is.
Girl, you lucky I like you because I would have shut this fucking computer off. Anyway, I cannot even believe you. Um, yeah, this is it for this episode. This finale was a lot happening there, but honestly, CBS, get it together. Whoever is the production company behind this, get it together because that just was not cool at all. But we'll be back in 2 weeks, guys. This it's not even a long break. This is like spring break, I guess, or winter break, or
Yeah.
fall break because it's fall ish. Whatever. Follow us on Twitter at Duel Alliance Pod. Follow Megan's page where she talks about her parents even more in depth at Megan Hines.
Follow Alicia is underscore who yelled at me about said parents, and shout outs
I
to
didn't yell
friend of
at
the.
you. I was confused because I've seen your mom and she did not look like that white lady that you posted. But we gonna move. We move, as they say. We move. Anyway, y'all, yeah, and follow the YouTube page of Doing Lines Pod. We're on YouTube right now, streaming this live. We'll probably do this more when season 38 starts as well. So yeah, just follow the page, listen, download, tell a friend, whatever. Megan,
Yes.
I'm so sick of you right now. I'm so tired of you. I'm literally tired of you. I cannot believe you. I cannot believe you. I
Anyways,
can't.
guys, we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Catch y'all later on the flip side.
Oh my God. Goodbye.